What is going on, you guys from Friends of the Rocking Cast? I have not been on for a while, but this is going to be a really good episode. So hopefully the wait has been worth your while. I am going to cover for today's episode my 30-day self-experiment with the supplement Tongkat Ali. And I'm going to share with you my results after this 30-day experiment, using this wildly unscientific method that I use that I think you may get a kick out of, but you're going to have to wait till the end of this particular episode. So for this episode, we're going to cover what Tongkat Ali is as it relates to testosterone, how I found out about it. We're going to share some peer-reviewed studies to demonstrate its benefits and what the consequences of a low testosterone level should be, and what the benefits are. And I'm going to share with you my wildly unscientific and anecdotal experiment, being N of one me, the impact on my ability to do push-ups. And I'm going to share with you the protocol that I used, what my starting number of push-ups was, and what my end was at the end of 30 days on Tongkat Ali. I'll tell you how much I was taking, how much I'm continuing to take, the impact on my mood, some subjective things. And so hopefully you'll find that this is a good particular episode, and you're going to get a shout out to one of my major man crushes. So how did I find out about Tongkat Ali? Like, I had no idea what the hell this stuff was, but I kind of have a major man crush, and it's not US. Well, I have a man crush on US Grant, but it's not US Grant. It's actually a guy that's still alive. His name is Andrew Huberman of the Huberman Lab podcast. He's like my age. And like, if you want a really good podcast, I'm going to do a standalone episode on Andrew Huberman and like how freaking awesome he is. But he's like a PhD in neuroscience that now has this from Stanford, who has this awesome podcast called the Huberman Lab, where he shares all the latest peer-reviewed research. So he was on Rogan, and they were talking about testosterone levels, like how dudes can raise their testosterone levels. And he said, yeah, there are some. And he talked kind of like this. He's like, yeah, there's a couple ways to increase your testosterone, one of which is known as Tongkat Ali, otherwise known as Longjack, which is a Malaysian aphrodisiac. And this will increase your testosterone. So I was like, and then he mentioned something else that I forgot. There's other ways you can increase your testosterone levels. But, you know, being a dude in my late 40s, I figured, what the hell do I have to lose by doing this, like checking out this Tongkat Ali thing? Like, will it actually work for me? And some of you are like, oh, I'm scared. I'm not going to take it because it could be bad for me. Well, I did a 30-day experiment, and I'm telling you, it's awesome. And I'll share with you my results. But before we do that, I want to talk about some of the general problems as we age, especially for men. You know, women, it can actually be an issue too, your testosterone levels, but it is something you should check. You know, a friend of mine indicated that to make this actually a really good podcast, I should have taken my testosterone levels before Tongkat Ali and after Tongkat Ali to see like whether it increased my testosterone levels in labs. I didn't do that because, you know, I'm not a scientist. I'm just doing a podcast, but it would have been interesting. And I think at some point I might try to do that. Like, go without Tongkat Ali for like 30 days and then get a baseline testosterone level and then take it for 30 days and share the results. But so what are some of the drawbacks? And for here, I relied on breakingmuscle.com and some peer-reviewed research. But as we grow older, especially for men, our testosterone levels go down. Well, why is that? It's not just like a dude thing, like, oh my God, I don't have any testosterone. Well, it actually is very important, because if you have low testosterone levels, you are at much higher risk for insulin resistance. And we've done a whole podcast with the work of Dr. Jason Fung and the problems that can happen with insulin resistance, you know, in terms of obesity and these sorts of things, which leads to obesity. We did a whole lot of separate podcasts on the risks associated with obesity, which obviously your risk of death and majorly bad things is huge with obesity. A shorter life and cardiovascular disease, among others, in terms of the drawbacks. So what are the benefits of a high testosterone, or should I say a normal testosterone range for men as we grow older? One, you're going to have lower cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone. The lower your cortisol levels are, the higher testosterone levels are, and vice versa. So when you get all rusty, like middle management, why so many of those like middle management dudes start getting man boobs and like a bulge, because they're stressed out all the time. The cortisol level is jacked. So when their cortisol level is jacked, it's a steroid hormone, evidently, and so my research indicates. And the same things that increase your produce cortisol also produce testosterone. So the higher your cortisol, the less your body can make testosterone, and vice versa. So what's the problem with cortisol? There's a lot of problems with cortisol. We need it to survive, but it's not meant to be a chronic thing. Sleep, libido, insulin resistance, obesity, all the bad things. And plus, it just doesn't feel good to be stressed out all the time. And so that is one of the big issues with the benefits of testosterone. The other ones are you're going to get better sleep. And of course, for dudes, more muscle. Like, who doesn't want that? Remember when Mark McGuire was taking steroids, he was taking like exogenous testosterone. That's how he got so huge. And of course, with muscles, there's the aesthetic and then performance and all those things. But one of the big issues as we grow older is what's called sarcopenia. And it's where we essentially have muscle wasting as we grow older. And that's huge. If you don't got muscle just for functional life, it is a huge issue that can really impact your life. So what does the peer-reviewed research say? And that's one of the wonders of the internet. And like, this is legit. I got it from breakingmuscle.com, but this is legit. And I'll share with you my peer review, my N of one, my experiment with Tongkat Ali. But this is from breakingmuscle.com, but it talked about, there is an article called Tongkat Ali Affects Testosterone Levels. So just look at some of this research on the benefits of Tongkat Ali, like this thing called Longjack. And by the way, doesn't it sound really cool to be like, yeah, man, I'm on Tongkat Ali? Like, if a dad is giving advice to his son, younger men probably don't need it because your testosterone levels are already jacked. But like, hey man, are you on Tongkat Ali or like Longjack? Does it sound like you're like getting something like illicit, like, hey dude, you got any Longjack? No, but you can get this stuff on Amazon. It's totally sounds cool, but it's really not that cool. It doesn't get you high or anything. It just gets you jacked with testosterone. But so they cited 2012 peer-reviewed studies, and you can look at this, check it out for yourself. 76 men were screened for late onset hypogonadism, were brought into the lab, and they were given only 200 milligrams of a standardized water-soluble extract of Tongkat Ali. At the start of the experiment, only 35.5% of the subjects had testosterone levels in the normal range. At the 1 month mark, 90.8% of the subjects had levels that had elevated into the normal range. I mean, that's huge. And for studies, this is incredible. Another study that's cited in this article talks about researchers observed the effects of Tongkat Ali supplementation of 25 physically active men and women between the ages of 57 and 72. So this is huge. This is the age at which we have muscle deterioration as we grow older. So we are at higher risk of, again, the sarcopenia or muscle wasting, which is significant. They were also given 400 milligrams of Tongkat Ali extract. 5 weeks later, the men experienced a 15.1% increase in total testosterone levels and a whopping 61.1% in free testosterone levels. The female subjects also experienced drastic results, an average increase of 48% in total testosterone and 122% in free testosterone levels. For females, it was less drastic, which makes sense, but there were benefits for it. But so the punchline here was both of these studies, and here's what the article states, that the more testosterone running through your veins, the faster you'll be able to recover from workouts and the more muscle you'll build as a result. So this is another one for elderly men. God, I wish I were a doc. Docs, if you're listening out here, check out Tongkat Ali. It was a study of elderly men and women. They also took the measure of their grip strength. Okay, so the grip strength is a very important test in figuring out what your muscle level is. And they also increased their grip strength by 16% in women. Or men, it was 16%, and women is a 13.7% in grip strength. So that is just 2 studies, but they also talked about muscle. There's another study. Okay, it was a study of, when they talk about Tongkat Ali's effect on muscle and strength is further exemplified when combined with some form of resistance training. Another study cited in the article is, in a study of 14 healthy men, subjects were randomly assigned to ingest either 100 milligrams of Tongkat Ali or placebo, so in other words, a sugar pill. During the experience, the subjects were also put on an intense strength training program performed on alternate days. Researchers kept track of their subjects' body composition, arm circumference, and 1 rep max. And check this out. At the 5-week mark, the men receiving Tongkat Ali gained 4.68 pounds of lean muscle mass, while no notable increases were noted in placebo. The supplement group also lost more body fat, gained more strength, and gained more size on their biceps compared to the placebo group. So it's kind of overwhelming. So I'm going to share with you my own wildly unscientific test that I did on myself taking Tongkat Ali. Now, I actually ended up taking more milligrams than these other people did. So here's the supplement that I use: Tongkat Ali, Longjack. And there, they recommended dose there was actually 1,200 milligrams, which is higher than any of the other studies. So I don't know, the supplement said that it was safe, so I thought I would take it. The other studies were much smaller, like 100 milligrams or 400 milligrams. So like, oh my God, I might be overdosing on Tongkat Ali. Like if I die tomorrow, like it's dangerous. It's Longjack, it's a root. So what experiment did I do for 30 days? Just measure of push-ups, which is, and I'll share with you the protocol that I did. So this is just one measure in terms of how it impacted push-ups, right? And push-ups are hard. Like, have you ever tried push-ups? Push-ups are kind of hard. They're not easy. So what I do for my morning workout routine is I try to keep it as standardized as I could, but again, it was not scientific. So I would try to, do some jumping jacks, get warmed up, and then do my daily calisthenics. And at the end, what I like to do is I like to listen to Sandstorm. There's an episode I've done called Sisu on Sandstorm, this techno stud named Darude. This is like the most awesome push-up song you can ever do. Put on the headphones and then just do push-ups till failure. So I started that February 24th, and then 30 days later, I calculated what I was doing in terms of push-ups. And the results are, at the start of my 30-day experiment, February 24th, 2022, I was able to do 24 push-ups. Gradually during the course of my self-experiment here, I went up 26 push-ups, 27 push-ups, 28. I had one day in the middle of March where I went down to 25. But then I ended up peaking March 24th, 30 days later, at 31 push-ups. So in the course of essentially 30 days, I increased my push-ups numbers by 7. And the only thing I'll share with you is that, I've been doing push-ups. I've been really trying to, transform my life, especially for these last 2 years. And when I started like a long time ago, to do like 2 push-ups, it wasn't that good. But I've been kind of stuck. On like 20, 22 push-ups. I've been stuck there for quite a while. And so you could say like, yeah, well, this is just placebo. Like, this is totally bullshit. It's totally unscientific. But, well, all I'll tell you is 30 days, 7 push-ups increase. Oh, that's pretty good, at least for me. I've never experienced that kind of drastic increase in the number of push-ups. I also have put on a little bit of weight, but I don't think I look that much fatter. So some of it's just it's been cold, and I did have a carb, and I'm keto-ish. I did eat a little bit more. I think I put on a little bit more muscle, so I'm looking a little bit more muscular. So that's basically my results of a 30-day Tongkat Ali experiment. So I'm sharing this with you. Do your own research, talk to your doc, yada, yada, yada. Do all those standard things. But for me, if Andrew Huberman says something, like, I mean, he's not a doctor either, but he's a PhD from Stanford. At the beginning of every one of his episodes, he's like, although I research and professor at Stanford, this is not affiliated with Stanford. Drop Stanford a lot. So, I mean, you got to be smart to get into Stanford. But then basically every topic he does, it's not only related to neuroscience, but it's basically all these different topics, and it's all peer reviewed. So I'm going to do a separate episode at some point on Andrew Huberman, because I got a major, major man crush. I had a real man crush, but a man crush on Andrew Huberman. And that's how I started this journey. I tried to look for side effects. I would note that I've been taking a lot more than these studies. So, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bit jacked up, but yeah, I took the recommended dosage on the supplement bottle for whatever that's worth. So yeah, so check it out. Do your own research though, people. Like, look it up, check it out on the internet, check it out on YouTube, talk to your doc. Probably your doc hasn't heard of it, so he's probably like, oh, it's bullshit, it's not true. But 7 push-ups in a month, that's kind of good. So use your own results, especially if you're getting older, which usually we see reductions. Now you got to work out. You're just not going to take it and get stronger. You actually have to work, people. But for me, I can confirm N of 1. That's what I try to do. Like, the things that I'm doing, whether it's fasting or Tongkat Ali or keto, I try to look at the peer-reviewed research and then kind of screen it with sources that I trust, and then I try it. And in this case, I'd recommend at least trying it, because for me, it has been great, and I'm going to continue taking it as a supplement. It's Tongkat Ali. I'll drop a link in the show notes to at least the one that I'm using. I'm not endorsed by these people. I'm not picking up podcasts and making any money with endorsements, but yeah, it's just a supplement that I've used, and if you want to use it, do it. So, friends, we have not had so Tongkat Ali. I think for me, I bet you my testosterone levels are higher than they were at the start. Maybe I'll do an experiment soon on that. But yeah, so for me, at least, I can confirm it seems to be working in that, especially related to muscle strength. So, friends, infinite gratitude to each and every one of you. Sorry, I have not been producing my high quality Rocky Cast content. A lot of transitional stuff that I don't want to get into, but I'm going to continue to do high quality content on the Rocky Cast. I'm going to do another one with Michelle Williams that we'll be releasing shortly. A friend of mine from high school who's now in Thailand doing incredible things in public health. And so thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate everything, every one of you that has tuned in amongst the cacophony of voices that you have to choose from. We have a hearty but growing audience that have tuned in regularly to my Rock Me Cast episodes. And so I hope you continue to spread the word, give us positive reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or all places where podcasts are heard. Give us a positive review, share the message, forward these, share them, share it with your friends, your enemies, people that like me, people that don't. If you want to go to sleep listening to these, do that, because we need to grow this audience and what we're doing in the Rocky Cast. We're going to continue to do it. And I'm almost up to my 2-year anniversary of the Rocky Cast, which I'm very proud of. I still have a huge audience, but it's growing and I've done it. So, hey, that has to count for something. So thank you so much. We'll continue to do high quality episodes. And thank you so much for tuning on the Rockneycast. So until next time we gather again on the Rockneycast.